Husband compares me to my mother, shutting down my attempts to address our dwindling intimacy, leaving me hurt and directionless. So we have been married 4 years now and our intimacy life has dwindled down to once every week or two. Any sort of intimacy is included in this. We started off our marriage with almost every day and I would love to continue that, but slowly over time, he's shown less and less interest and so now it's basically I'm convenient when he is in the mood so I just wait around until he's ready. Honestly, I hate it. It makes the experience so much less satisfying and I am struggling with body image. I've been trying to bring it up with him but usually he gets uncomfortable and avoids the topic so I drop it. After a year of us only being intimate for a few times a month I couldn't take it so I sat him down and told him that we need to figure this out because I'm having a hard time enjoying the few sex we do have. He starts off saying, he doesn't want to say it because I'd get offended and I told him to just spit it out. So he tells me that I act like my mother, especially after I've seen her and it turns him off. Of course, I got offended. My mother and I don't have the best relationship. Too much to go into but I've only recently began healing from the trauma of childhood and started seeing her again. So this was like a punch to the gut. This isn't the first time he's mentioned that I act like my mother too so I told him to never compare me to her again, but to please point out specific behaviors that he doesn't like instead. He instantly didn't want to talk about it anymore and kept telling me to drop it. I don't even know what to do about this but I'm so hurt that he compares me to her. The only ways I've changed since we first started seeing each other is I've become more confident in myself as a woman since I've become a mom. Otherwise I don't think I changed too much. My body changed a little but I didn't gain weight so I hope it's not that. Maybe you all have some thoughts on this that could help me? I really want to work on it but he doesn't want to go to couples therapy so I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Update 1. After that post, I had a surge of confidence and really was planning on leaving him. Suddenly though, he woke up one morning and it was like he was a different man. I'm not exaggerating, he was drastically different. He made breakfast for me while I was working out, he helped with making lunch and kept kissing me and sent me off to work with an I love you. I thought for sure it would stop by the time he got home later but it didn't. He went from a man who was angry every morning and angry when he came home from work, to a sweet and loving man, overnight. It was weird at first but after a full week of being shown affection too, all my plans for leaving crumbled and I was lost. He started working overtime and I started working part-time so the issues of house chore divide ceased. Plus, he cleaned the kitchen now while I put the child down which was the main issue. It's been 3 weeks and I feel like I'm living in a dream and I have no idea what to do. I still haven't told him that I plan to leave him. I don't know if I will or not. I can't help but feel suspicious, like there's some hidden motive to this. He even planned a date night and showed me affection after. He never does that. I keep expecting for his usual aggression to pop out of nowhere. Sometimes he still looks at me with those scary eyes but he doesn't talk or do anything aggressive anymore. I feel unsettled by all this in a way. My mental health has been spiraling too. I just feel so lost. Today he was upset because I slept in and it's making me feel so anxious for some reason. He wasn't aggressive or yelling but I'm scared to piss him off and he will go back to how he was. So that's where I'm at right now. Update 2. My husband and I have relationship issues. I have been hesitant to leave him, mainly for the fact that we have a child together but also I care for him a lot. He got really dark a few months ago. Did and said a lot of things that hurt me, but didn't directly hit me or do anything in front of our kid. I was ready to leave him because throughout our relationship, he never really treated me that great and I think I was just at my limit. But when I tried to leave, he broke down and begged me to stay so I did. He changed since. He's been treating me like an equal being. He's been going to therapy for 4 months now consistently. He started opening up to me about things he didn't before. I've been noticing that overall, he seems so much warmer to others, not just me. Recently, we were driving and conversation about his little brother came up, he's 22, and I was telling him about some things that his brother told me about his girlfriend. My husband randomly admitted that his brother told him to treat me better. I was shocked because I didn't think that anyone noticed or thought of our relationship like that. I never said a word to anyone. I asked him what happened and he seemed embarrassed and brushed it off saying that his brother just kinda yelled at him that he doesn't treat me like a woman. The crazy thing is that my husband admitted to not treating me well to me then too. I didn't know what to say so that was the end of the conversation. Since then, he's been bringing things up randomly, asking what I like and how I would like to be treated. My question is, how do I respond to this? Or do I just let him be to do his thing? My usual response is to just brush it off or say whatever you want, honey, but I've been growing a bit of self-confidence so I don't want to brush it off anymore. Update 3. We had my husband's best friend and his wife over yesterday. We don't usually drink or stay up late but they came over after we put our child down and they had left their child with in-laws for the night so it was our first time being child-free together since we had kids. My husband has been best friends to this guy since before he met me, and I've always liked his wife and have been getting pretty close to her in the past year and we even called each other best friends now. Well, we stayed up late and had a very good time. Eventually at about 1:30 a.m., my daughter woke up so I left and called it quits by that time. I was done drinking and was getting tired so I laid down with my daughter and fell asleep in her room. My friend came into my daughter's room and told me she wanted to talk really quick. She admitted that she started telling him a thing or two about how she feels about him and that he started crying. She said she apologized to him and she apologized to me too and said maybe she had too much to drink and shouldn't have said anything. I just shook my head and told her that maybe it was just getting late for all of us, and after a hug, they left. My husband just went straight to bed without saying anything, so I figured I would bring it up later. Today, my husband is being so grumpy. I woke up with my daughter and let him sleep in, but at about 11 a.m. I told him that I needed him to get up so we could clean and wash up before church, our usual Saturday routine for the past 3 years. I told him after we clean we can take a nap with my daughter if we're still tired. Well, it took him 30 minutes to get out of bed. When he finally got up, he just laid around and would go on his phone. I constantly kept asking him to get up because it was late. He wouldn't answer me every time, and at some point I got tired of nagging and stopped. He just laid around while I cleaned. Finally, I sat down for a little and asked him about yesterday, and he grumbled that I told my friend that Hess a horrible person, so she was berating him. I was shocked and said no, I never told her anything about our relationship. She's my friend, yes, but I don't talk about my marriage problems to anyone. So I told him and he just shrugged and said that she said something along the lines of he doesn't treat me well and that he should learn to grow up. Funny thing is, his behavior today just stands out knowing what she said to him. In my head, I wanted to tell him off that what she said was true, but I didn't. I just told him that I'm glad my friend has my back, but I swear what she said is from her own assumptions of our relationship. He said she probably misunderstood something I said. I think it's interesting that I found out not long ago that my husband's younger brother also yelled at my husband about his behavior, past post. It makes me feel more confident in myself about my feelings for him and our marriage. I'm tired of being the bigger person all the time. I'm already 1 foot out the door and he doesn't even seem to try to make me stay other than cry. Update 4. So I left him, everyone was right about him. I'm safe, with my daughter and my little brother. It's been a few weeks since I left. Even after I posted last time, I won't lie. I still had hope for this man. What made me decide to leave was the fact that, despite him verbally abusing me, later threatening to physically abuse me, he acted like I was the one who needed to bend over and apologize to him. It wasn't that he treated me bad that was the reason I left. It was the fact that he was stomping around and acting like a child, yelling at me and my daughter and making her feel anxious. I still try to be nice. I tried to talk to him. I asked him what's wrong and he just gave me that look that he always does. I don't know how to explain it, but it makes me feel so small, and he doesn't break his gaze or say anything, he just stares until I have to look away. It felt like a switch in me and mentally, I was gone. That night, I put my emergency plan in place, because I already had one from a time he threatened me months ago, and a few days later I was physically gone, while he was at work. I'm not going to give details because of the possibility he can see these, but I have a new job, new apartment, at a new city however and wherever I want. It's so freeing. My daughter couldn't care less, and it somehow makes me happy but also deeply sad. I should have done this a month ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago. She's just happy that she gets to go to a park more often now with her uncle. My brother confided that he's happy he doesn't have to hear him yell anymore. My family keeps calling me. My mom telling me I'm making a big mistake and I'm embarrassing myself. I'm not even going to bother explaining myself or my side of the story. His family keeps calling me too. His mother apparently is in the hospital because of a stress-induced attack from this. My sister-in-law sent me nasty texts and called me until I blocked them. My now ex keeps calling me too. I hate it. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. My brother-in-law only sent me one text and it says good for you. I hope find a better life. It makes me feel somewhat comforted with this whole situation. I hope he's right though. So that's my update. This will be my last time posting on here. I'm probably going to delete my account actually, and plus I'm completely done with relationships and will probably never get into one again, but thank you to everyone who took time to comment and message me. I seriously feel like each one slowly built my confidence bit by bit. I know I'm a bad person for not doing it on my own, so I thank all of you sincerely for helping me. I owe everyone my new life. I wasn't going to post it first, but it feels nice to get this all off my chest. I feel like I'm going to explode with pent-up emotions lately. Update 5. So, it's now been almost 2 months since I left. I settled into the new city and, crazy as it sounds, I feel like a completely different person. It's not been sunshine and rainbows, but it's real, if that makes sense. My daughter has fully adapted. She actually told me she likes it better here and whispers uncle is my favorite. She cut her hair all by herself, buzzed a tiny chunk behind her ear. I almost fainted, but in the end, we went to a salon and let her finish the cut. She looks like a little pixie now and grinned the whole time. I think part of me realized she was becoming someone new, too. My brother is my emotional rock right now. I'd never lived with him as adults, and turns out he's super funny, actually listens, and, weird cousin energy, taught my daughter how to make pancakes in shapes. Sometimes we're like a sitcom, but it helps. But here's the wild stuff, which I never saw coming. First, my job. It's nothing fancy, but I'm doing admin work at a community center, which is full of the most colorful people I've ever met. The director, Jackie, is a tattooed grandma who brings donuts to work just cuz, and somehow within 2 weeks, I was roped into helping with the upcoming Summer Kids Festival. I didn't realize how badly I needed this, being around kids, the sound of chatter, people being silly and normal. Last week we had a karaoke night, all ages, and my daughter sang Let It Go so dramatically that Jackie literally threw confetti at her out of nowhere. We laughed until we cried. For the first time in years, I laughed so hard I lost my breath. But it's not all easy. The fallout from leaving my ex is still everywhere. One thing I didn't expect, my mother showed up at my new place. I don't know how she found my address, my brother swears he didn't tell her. She apologized, but in that way where it's somehow still about her. I'm scared for you. I worry you're impulsive, like I was, you're just like me. I shut the door after 20 minutes. That crushed me more than I thought. I sat in the bath afterward and cried for the first time since leaving. But writing about it helped, and I'm starting to accept that some things with her may never change, and that's okay. As for my ex, the calls and texts finally slowed. I blocked every number, but once he used an unknown number and left a voicemail. He sounded tired and flat. He only said, I hope you're taking care of her. The sister-in-laws unleashed a barrage of Facebook posts, which friends screenshot for me. Yes, I unfriended the whole lot now. It hurt at first, but I'm getting braver about shutting my phone off. Now the truly wild turn, my in-laws. I found out from my brother-in-law, the only one who actually reached out in kindness, that my ex's mother is, in fact, not in the hospital as I was told, but had faked it to guilt you home. I guess this was some kind of family test for me. I actually laughed when he told me, tears in my eyes but more from relief. It finally made sense why the love/hate from their side never added up. I thanked him and told him I hoped he'd break free from the drama too, one day. Therapy, yes, I started it again. For me, for real. I got a sliding scale spot with a therapist who is gentle but direct. We're digging into why I tolerate people taking advantage of me and why I kept gaslighting myself about how bad things actually were. Last week, I realized I'd never once asked what I wanted, not for dinner, not on weekends, not in a single holiday out of the 4 years I was married. This week, I picked dinner and a movie, and nobody sulked or glared. It's wild what you learn when you stop asking permission to just exist. One last thing, and maybe the most important, the dream. For years, I had this recurring nightmare. I'd be trapped in my parents' house, always unable to find my daughter while my mother criticized or ignored me, and I'd wake up in a cold sweat. The dream stopped 2 weeks ago. Instead, I dreamed we were standing together, looking at a street full of houses. She pointed at one and said, let's find the one that's happy. I woke up and realized, maybe we're already starting to. If anyone reading this feels trapped or scared or small, I'm living proof you're not stuck. I won't pretend it's easy or you'll feel brave every day, but if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, life has a way of surprising you. I don't know where this will all end, or if I'll ever be ready for another relationship. The thought makes me feel tired, honestly, but for now, I know how to be honest with myself, and I know how to make my daughter laugh, and that's enough. If I have any more wild updates, I'll share. For now, just thank you. Seriously. For seeing me and believing in me before I could believe in myself. Update 6. I almost didn't post, but something so surreal happened this week I had to write it out to try and process. The last time I updated, life had started settling into a gentle normal. Work, pancakes, park marathons, therapy, learning how to exhale again. But I've learned healing isn't a straight line. Sometimes it's steady, and other times it's a full-on roller coaster with a surprise loop. First, the unexpected, my ex showed up. In person. I didn't see it coming. He'd gone quiet for weeks after being blocked everywhere, and I let my guard down. I never thought he'd drive hours just to try and talk to me face to face, but I guess when you're desperate for closure or to rewrite a story, you'll do irrational things. I was getting groceries, nothing epic, just cereal and Fruit Loops for pancake art, when I heard someone call my name near the checkout. I froze. He looked, I don't know, shrunken somehow. Different from the man I remember. No anger, no posturing, just tired. He asked if we could talk. My stomach sank, a million memories hit at once. But before I could answer, my daughter spotted him from the cart and said, loudly, that's Daddy. Uncle's making dinosaur dinner. Which, honestly, broke the tension with bizarre kid logic. I told him I'd meet him outside, then handed my brother the groceries and took 5 minutes. He apologized. For real, not performative or angry. He said he's been in therapy for real. I didn't know what to do after you left. I didn't even know who I was without, being needed and yelling. He admitted he had no idea why he'd been so cruel, only that seeing me happy, you looked light, like you weren't carrying a stone on your back, made him realize how different things could be. He swore he wasn't here to win me back, but needed to say he was sorry. One line stuck out, I thought I was fixing you, but you never needed fixing. I did. I told him I deserved better, and he nodded. It was, and I can't believe I'm saying this, a relief. If you told me a year ago we'd ever have a conversation that didn't end in a fight or tears, I'd have called you delusional. But it happened. He left, and I felt like a chapter clicked shut for good. I went home, shook, but lighter. That night, my daughter drew a picture of us at the store with sparkles because we can leave whenever we want. My brother added it to the fridge. Second wild thing, my mother tried to insert herself again, but this time it didn't wreck me. She sent a long, rambling message about how she missed real family and that people always run away from her. The thing is, I didn't reply. No anger, no guilt. I just deleted it. I told my therapist, and we both agreed, that's new. For the first time in my life, I chose peace. And then there's the sweet weirdness that real life brings. Jackie, my boss, roped me into leading a crafts session at the community center. Me, who can't even hot glue 2 popsicle sticks straight. But I did it. I glitter bombed half the room, my daughter helped, and by the end I had 3 6-year-olds clinging to my knees and 1 old man teaching me how to make origami boats. There's joy here, I just didn't see it before, so blocked by survival mode. It's not all perfect. I wake up some days anxious for no reason at all, and loud noises sometimes spike my nerves. My daughter occasionally asks about old home or why daddy isn't nearby. Sometimes I still feel like an imposter, waiting for the happiness to break. But, Saturday, at the park, my daughter took my hand and said, completely out of nowhere, I like our new life, Mommy. You listen better now. I almost cried, not because I'd failed her before, but because even she senses we are, finally, safe enough to be ourselves. And, little things keep happening that are impossible to ignore. A woman at work quietly confided to me that she recognized me from a local support group. She said she saw me leave my ex in public once and it gave her courage. I lost it, happy tears, because I realized how the smallest acts send out ripples. So, to anyone reading this in the silent hours, wondering if choosing yourself and your kid is selfish, or impossible, or too hard, it's harder to stay where you're shriveling up. There are ugly days. But there are also those wild, unexpected good days, singing Let It Go in a room of people who genuinely want you to be there. Eating pancakes shaped like hearts because you actually choose them. Closing a door for good without looking back. If there's one thing this new chapter is teaching me, it's that freedom feels nothing like what I expected. Messier, louder, sometimes painfully quiet, and more beautiful than I ever imagined. I don't know what will come next, but, against all odds, I'm genuinely excited to find out. Thank you for listening. I wasn't sure I'd ever be someone who could help others, but I guess even escape artists leave footprints behind for others to follow. If you're waiting for a sign to step through that door, let this be it. The air out here is fresher than you think. Update 7. It feels almost absurd to be back, typing another update, like I must be addicted to chronicling my own chaos, but something happened this week that's too wild, twisty, and oddly hopeful to keep to myself. And who knows, maybe someone needs a reminder life never actually plateaus, it just throws you into a new genre. So, the roller coaster continues. I had my first deliberate day just for me in what feels like my entire life. That probably sounds basic, but it was the scariest thing I've done since leaving. My brother forced me. You're getting weirdly good at 3rd grade diorama volcanoes, but you haven't done one adult thing for yourself. Please. It's getting embarrassing. His words, not mine. So, I dropped my daughter at a summer day camp, her first ever. She wore her wild pixie cut and a tutu, and declared herself queen of crafts, and I decided, no chores, no errands, no emotional labor for anyone. I wandered into a used bookstore, just to inhale the smell of musty paper and be aimless. I think I'd forgotten what my own internal voice sounds like without a schedule telling me how to be. Here's the thing, amongst the genre fiction and battered self-help books, I found my childhood favorite, a battered copy of From the Mixed-Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. I nearly lost it in the aisle. Somehow, holding it felt like proof, I do have an inner self, and she is still in there. I bought it and, on a whim, signed up for a poetry workshop flyer at the counter, even though the last time I wrote a poem was furious teenage ranting in a diary. But that's just warm-up for what's next. Because then, 2 days later, the universe decided I was ready for the true wild. I bumped into my ex's brother in the laundromat. I'd almost forgotten he even lived near-ish. He moved cities for work last year. Small world. He was folding jeans, wearing headphones, and I nearly tiptoed out to avoid an awkward scene. But he spotted me, grinned, and said, "Hey, you look alive." We ended up in plastic chairs by the dryer, and while my insides were a tumble of awkward dread, I braced myself for drama. Except, none came. He told me he'd moved out, that he hadn't spoken to their family in months, and that you're leaving made more of a difference than you know. He actually thanked me. Said the domino effect after my exit made his brother finally listen when he said enough is enough, cut off the worst family members, and, his words, started acting like a human for once. He said he himself was in regular therapy, too, and working up the courage to tell his own story someday. I felt a mix of relief, guilt, pride, disbelief, emotions leaping everywhere. But here's the kicker, he said, you saved my nephew by choosing yourself. You don't have to carry any more shame for any of us. We both teared up. It was weirdly cleansing, like purging some final ugly little thread that had kept me tangled up inside, worrying I'd ruined lives by saving my own. He left, and I realized, I am not responsible for other people's healing. But sometimes, choosing your own can be the spark for theirs. So now, to the completely bizarre, new adventure part. Jackie, legendary boss, confetti dealer, unofficial den mother, corners me at work and says, "Do you want to help run a support group at the center? Women helping women, no judgment, just crafts, pizza, and real talk. I already put your name down." Me? The same me who used to freeze at the thought of even voicing a preference for pizza toppings? I genuinely don't know if I'm ready for this, and it terrifies me. But Jackie shrugged, people listen to you because you lived it. That's all anyone wants. That's enough. I still don't know if I'm up for the responsibility, but I said yes. I feel a weird nervated energy about it, and I wouldn't have even considered it a few months ago. I also made a rule, pizza nights will be pepperoni, unless someone actually speaks up and votes pineapple. My daughter and I now go out for her turn/my turn days every Saturday. Last week her idea of a dream morning was buy bubble tea, chase dogs at the park, and look for the ugliest shoes. We did all of those, my dream day? 1 hour sitting alone in the library reading a book with no pages ripped out or smeared with yogurt. Pure decadence. And in therapy, God bless my patient, insightful therapist, we've started working past just not being miserable and into figuring out what actively happy might even look like. Final note, because I promised this would be honest and real, I still get sad. Some nights I cry. Some days the phone buzzes and my gut clenches before I remember, those people don't have any say anymore. My daughter still asks hard questions sometimes, will Dad ever try to live here? And it stings, but it doesn't freeze me. Because I have actual answers now, and I'm not ashamed of any of them. Leaving didn't give me a fantasy ending, but I think it handed me a blank page, and I didn't really believe in those. I do now. Pros and cons and all. Anyway, if you're reading this, here's the update nobody expects. It gets stranger, and better, and funnier than you think, once you get far enough away to look back. I don't know if I'll be writing another update or if I'll finally, really let go of this story, because maybe I get to just live it now, but if I do come back, I hope it's with more good messes to report. Update 8, I wasn't sure if I'd ever post here again, but, apparently, the universe went, hold my coffee, this story isn't done yet. If you thought the chaos arc was closing, brace yourself, because my life somehow both leveled up and threw 2 curveballs at once. If you're still out there rooting for a new genre, welcome to the sitcom drama Hallmark mystery portion. First, the surreal. I ran my first support group meeting at the center. I typed out a whole page of pep talk notes because I was sure I'd go blank, but it didn't go at all how I planned. About 10 women turned up, and one exhausted grandma who said she was just there for free pizza. Jackie, the unflappable queen, introduced me as someone who's strong enough to be real. My knees nearly buckled. But then another mom started talking. She said, I'm not really good at feelings, but I want my kids to be less scared, you know? For the first time in my life, I didn't second guess myself. I told my story, not as a warning or a tragedy, but just as fact. There were tears, and sideways glances, and shared laughter about weird stuff. Turns out, giving a 4-year-old a buzzcut is a universal rite of passage. We didn't solve anyone's world, all we did was see each other. And for maybe the first time, I realized helping isn't about fixing. Sometimes, it's just about witnessing. We made ugly crafts together and nobody judged my globby popsicle stick sunflower, which is proudly on the center's window now. And that night, as my daughter showed off her masterpiece, it's a rainbow. With a mustache, it hit me, I'm happy? Not perfect, not even always okay, but genuinely sure that I am in the right place. For the first time. Even when it's noisy and messy and weird. Now for the bonkers, my ex's mother, yes, the hospital faking queen herself, actually showed up at my workplace. Picture this, I'm drawing hearts with sidewalk chalk outside for the summer festival. I hear her voice, my heart nearly leapt from my chest. She looked thin, older, worn out. She said, I just wanted to see my granddaughter. My hands shook, but I remembered everything I'd practiced, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I told her this wasn't the place, and she started to cry, not performatively, just tired. She said, and this stuck, I was taught to make myself the center of pain. I don't want that for you or for her. I'm sorry for letting it get to this. I did not invite her into our lives. I need safety, my daughter needs safety, but I told her I hurt her. Then invited her to the community summer fest like every other visitor, strictly public, strictly safe, and only if she behaves like any other community member, no drama, no guilt trips. I checked with my therapist, and she said, that's boundary making in action. It felt powerful and terrifying. I don't know if she'll come, but it felt like an act of courage just to not fold. Now for the twist absolutely nobody saw coming, the poetry workshop. I actually went. I almost bailed 6 times, classic imposter panic, but I made myself show up. The room was half retirees, half edgy teens, plus me and one other single mom with a sleepy baby strapped to her chest. The leader asked us to write a poem about something we thought we'd lost but actually never had. I wrote about the future, my own future. When I read it aloud, my hands shook but I didn't cry. People snapped fingers, is that a real poetry thing? And the single mom grinned and said, I want to be your friend. On the way out, she handed me her number and asked if our kids could have a playdate. Not a date, not let's trauma bond forever, just someone to hang out with who gets it, and maybe wants to make friendship bracelets while our kids dump Legos everywhere. Final note, because I promise this is real life, not a script, there are still hard days. My daughter sometimes acts out, and bedtime can be a war zone. I still panic over bills. I still sit up at night, wondering what I'm screwing up. But I also find myself humming in the kitchen, or laughing at a bad joke my brother makes, or just smiling at nothing for no reason at all. I realize today, the future isn't ever going to be safe, or perfect, or something I can control. But it's mine now. That old nightmare, being trapped, criticized, lost in a house that isn't home, has turned into something else, possibility. Weird craft projects, support groups, random bookstore finds, maybe a healthy friendship or two. I don't dread my phone ringing now. My daughter and I have plans for a nature hike next weekend. She's convinced she'll meet a wild rabbit and make it her second best friend. So, if you're still out there listening, don't cling to the idea that you have to be completely fixed to start again. Or that family is always a curse, or that closure means a Hollywood ending, or that people never surprise you. Sometimes, it's small, a poem, a letter, a boundary, a day that belongs only to you. A year ago, I was planning escapes at midnight and praying for numbness. Today, I'm writing lists of books I want to read, friends I want to make, and crafts I want to try, and honestly, it's wild, and scary, and really beautiful. If the universe keeps throwing odd plot twists at me, maybe I'll be back, but for now, here's to all the women, and every survivor, writing new chapters, even if their first page is messy and smells like pancake batter and sidewalk chalk.